This is how to make a connection in your live lessons. Tassomai are running live revision sessions. For the teachers, it's a great opportunity to expand their reach beyond their schools. And for the students, it's an amazing opportunity to have excellent teaching, which is targeted to topics that we know that students struggle with the most, based from a detailed analysis of Tassomai's assessment data. I'm Kit and I'm the creator of Guerrilla Physics, but I'm also the author of How to Start and Grow Educational YouTube Channels, Teach on YouTube. So I strongly recommend that you check out this book, as it's got all of the tips that I'm going to go through and just introduce you to today, but in much more detail, if you're interested in learning more about teaching online. To make a strong presentation online, you need to make a connection with the audience on the other side of the camera. And the technical choices you make will make or break that. You don't need to have an elaborate setup like this to teach well online. And here in this video, I've just got some general tips from teachers to make that engagement across the digital divide. Firstly, consider why this is actually better than students simply reading. Present with energy and enthusiasm. But relax and find yourself and enjoy being on the camera. Go at an appropriate pace, but don't rush it. Get the sound right. Have a microphone as close as you can to your mouth. And don't work in a large or a busy space. Make a test recording and check that your audio is loud and clear. These little clip-on USB mics are a lot cheaper than you'd think. And they're really good for live streaming. It's a USB-C microphone. But larger USB microphones like this one are the industry standard for live streaming and webinars. And both of these options cost a lot less than you might think. Do get the lighting right. It doesn't have to be very elaborate. Maybe you can actually just film facing a window, so the window is the other side of the camera from you. Or just find a way to have some diffuse light falling on your face, like maybe shining some light against the wall behind your webcam. Find out if your camera or your phone can actually plug in and act as a webcam, because that's usually a lot better quality than a standard webcam that you might get on a laptop, even on the best laptops. You want to raise the camera up just a little bit higher than your eye level, but nobody wants that up the nose shot from a laptop webcam. Importantly, take the students on a really well planned journey. Brighten the lines between the different parts of your presentation and make sure they know when you've covered something and you're now moving on to something different. Be aware that when students are watching video, their attention can sometimes drift in and out. And so it's more important than ever that you stop and you check that students have actually understood what you've just explained. And of course, it can be very difficult to know that across that digital divide. So use ways to engage with your audience through the chat or the Q&A function. Then once you've covered something, make sure you explain how it links to the next part in your sequence. Set up a second screen. It's much easier to know that you're sharing this screen and that screen is what's going to be broadcast to students along with your webcam. And my pro tip here is to place your script or your outline just below the camera, and so that it, at least when you're having to glance down at it, it appears like you're staring straight into the camera lens. And also, if you set your slides on a screen on the right, it always looks as if you are looking towards the content that you're presenting as you're presenting it, which that's a really good indicator for students of what to be focusing on. Usually we tend to display information like this online with information on the left and the video feed on the right. And if you want to get really techie, get involved with OBS, which is this program that I'm running here, and use the virtual camera so you can really control exactly what's being broadcast to students. To engage students across the digital divide, make sure they see the value in what you're presenting to them. Use the power of Tassomai. These topics have been selected from an analysis of a huge set of data that Tassomai has about what kids do and don't understand. So start with that. Let students know that they're about to learn something that's going to fill a key knowledge gap that loads of people have, and that's going to help them with their exams and beyond. You need to know how valuable your teaching is, and think creatively and enjoy it. I suggest you try these 4 ways of teaching online and then stick to one and make it the best it can be. You could make a PowerPoint and share the slides. And this is the most popular for a reason, but I suggest that the reason is more about the ease of presentation than it really is about the engagement of the students. You can use a visualizer, and that's an excellent choice, especially if you're having to actually show students how to use particular pieces of equipment. So let's say in your teaching, you need to show them exactly how to use some complex functions of a scientific calculator. Well, a visualizer is an excellent way to show them how to do that. Or maybe you need to show them how to use a protractor or to carefully construct a graph with a ruler on graph paper. The visualizer is a great way to go for that. There's something for students which is really good about seeing you do something with the same apparatus that they're going to use. It helps them to code new information into their brain with as little distractions as possible. The screen really looks like exactly what they've got in front of them. Or of course you could just use your webcam. Or maybe you could bring props or present in front of a large whiteboard that you've maybe chalked something up on before the teaching begins. Again, this might suit some lesson types more than others. Perhaps if you're focused on characters in a story in English, then having some props or even some fancy dress might be a really excellent way to engage people online. But be aware of what's in the shot to really keep students focused on the content that you're delivering. Like, you wouldn't want people wondering why there's a gorilla behind you in the shot for some random reason. And do remember that some of your audience will probably be watching on small phone screens. And so you need to make sure your content is large enough and that your screen isn't too crowded. And lastly, you could use a drawing tablet. And this one works really well with a PowerPoint, because you can actually draw on the PowerPoint. You can highlight the things that they should be looking at those key points. And you can actually model out answers using your drawing tablet. You can make it really clear the things that students want to be focusing on right now at this time. And you can even add to diagrams and draw as you go. But just don't expect to be able to fluently chat through something the very first time you have a go at this. Practice and make sure you know all the controls of the program that you're going to actually use, and make sure that it's the right choice for you and your content. You don't want lots of empty silence as you figure out which buttons to press. I really hope that was useful, and if you want to know more, or if you catch the bug for teaching online, please do check out my book, Teach on YouTube, How to Start and Grow Education YouTube Channels. There's lots more detail about all the technical and other aspects of teaching online. Importantly, try to pick the right presentation style for your content. Make sure that you're confident in using it and enjoy it, because teaching online can be really exciting. What a great opportunity for teachers and students who use Tassomai. We can't wait to see what you come up with and how you teach your topics.